Hey, what's going on, traders? This is the watch list video for Friday, February 18th. So, a quick reminder now that I'm thinking about it, the market is closed on Monday for President's Day. So, a 3 day weekend. So, keep that in mind. All right, so looking at the SPY daily, we kind of had an ugly day today. I think the Dow was down, I want to say maybe 600 points. I'm not positive about that. So, kind of an ugly day. Um, it was a weird day too, in that there was a lot of jumping around, right? There's all different kinds of Discord rooms and other, paid chat rooms, free chat rooms. It's just a million different, chat rooms out there. And sometimes this domino effect will happen where one stock will go just nuts, and then someone in some room will say, "Hey, this is the next one because it has XYZ as a similarity," and who knows what that might be. It might be as simple as a low float, recent IPO, could be anything. The letter H in the symbol, you never know. Like, it gets stupid, right? And that happened today, where I think it was, I'll show you, ISPO started it. Look at that. Went from, what was the low here? Went from 14.19 to $108, and that actually did happen, right? It wasn't like an errant tick. It actually, it was just one of those, just kept halting, going, halting. And I don't ever jump into something like this. When they look like this, you go, man, why the hell didn't I buy it down here on this, out of this halt, and it could have doubled my money. But it's just impossible. It opens, runs, and you just feel like you don't want to get caught. But look what happens, and this is why I don't do it. Then it had this candle. So say if you're in it anywhere in here, next thing you know, it halts for a while. Like, it doesn't trade for a long time. Usually when this happens and then it opens down here, and I don't know what the length of time was, but it wasn't a typical 5 minute halt. Might have been 20 minutes, an hour. I'm not even sure. But whenever this happens, typically that's it. The party's over and it fades. But look what happened to this one. Ended up ripping again and went all the way to 108 something. So crazy action. And then somewhere along the line, somebody decided ANGH is a sympathy. And man, it put in an early high at 1458. I almost called a second mouth through 1450, and even that would have been its trade of the year, right? Because it went up to 33 something. Anyway, long story short, it was one of those days, and then it just became symbol after symbol, and I just will not chase. And most of them, and I should have written down the symbols, so when I did this video, I could go over, because most of them just completely round tripped and tanked, and a lot of traders got burned. For me, I'm just discipline is everything to me. So I'm not going to chase something. Even I know if I chase something and I make money on it, I still broke a rule, and it's just reinforcing a terrible habit. So discipline is everything for me as a trader. I wear it like a badge of honor, and no, I didn't get any of these big runners. Okay. Honestly, I started looking at some sympathies and this and that. But never really caught one. I did make a little money in one of them, and to me it was a measured, intelligent entry. But overall, on days like this, they can be treacherous for newer traders, because you just find yourself chasing symbol after symbol, and most of them fail. Right? Anyway, that's my little stupid recap of the day. And again, there's the daily. So there are a couple of these I do want to keep on watch. One of them is this AND. But let me just start with the order that I've gotten written down in. So you remember, the market was ugly today. Let's go back and glance at the SPY daily one more time. So there's the SPY daily, and we're nicely, it's not on this chart, but we're nicely below the 200-day again. You had this big sell-off. You had this bounce. It held this area, went right back up, and it looked like, okay, maybe we're back to new all-time highs. But then we sold off again, bounced a little, and we're rolling over again. This feels pretty darn bearish to me. And we're looking at raised interest rates coming, inflation's through the roof. The folks in charge are inept, so I think we all kind of feel like the economy's in big trouble here. But as a day trader, that doesn't bother me. I just make a list of stuff that might give me an A+ setup tomorrow, because I make my money between the bells, and then I look for A+ setup. So having said all that, the SPY is kind of ugly, and we're certainly seeing some weakness. All right, so now let me go into what I'm watching for tomorrow. UPST, and as a day trader, where I make my money between the bells, I don't have to have like a perfect chart, that's really close to a perfect breakout level, and if it breaks over this certain number, I love it, and that's where I'll get long. You kind of have the luxury, as silly as it sounds, you kind of have the luxury of just putting something like this UPST on watch, right? had the gap up on earnings, then another big gap up, but an ugly day. You could argue maybe because of the overall market, but there's no setup here, right? There's just no clean setup. But doing what I do, I can still have this on watch, and maybe tomorrow I get a beautiful inflection point, whole number break with catalysts above. So, you get a little leeway when you're a day trader, and you can just kind of populate some charts with the recent movers that are strong relative to the market. So with that in mind, UPST deserves a spot on a chart. ANGH is one of them that went nuts and held up really well. By the way, it gave a nice setup through 30 and after hours, and I literally was stalking that, and I blinked and looked at something else. A squirrel ran through my office or something, and I missed it, but did give a nice little trade. Anyway, definitely want to watch that one tomorrow along with this ISPO. Now, do I think ISPO is worth $92? Or before that, was it worth $108? I mean, it's a rhetorical question, obviously. It's probably worth $8. I don't know anything about the company, but sometimes bulls just get a hold of a stock and they just keep ripping it. It's amazing to watch. But you might look at a thing like this and say, oh, my neighbor Mike's a day trader. I bet he killed it on this. And it's never as easy as it looks, right? Who would expect that stock to go from 14 to 108? I mean, that's just stupid action. But having said all that, I'm going to watch it tomorrow. Maybe it gaps down big. And after hours right now, it's trading at 85.52. Maybe it gaps down big and then goes red to green. And ANGH might give a nice sympathy setup, right? So for that reason, I'm going to have it on a chart. But certainly both ISPO and ANGH are stupid extended, right? KAVL is what I would call a recent high flyer. It's had nice volume, nice strength. Looked like it was rolling over and right back up in a very weak tape. So absolutely want to keep that one on watch. GRIN, which I think is a shipper. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's a shipper and a really nice breakout today. So I want to keep an eye on this one. It's extended, but again, a stock with great relative strength to the market, so I want to watch it. Walmart had earnings, WMT, and a pretty strong move today. By the way, somebody PM'd me in chat and asked me, and you know who you are if you're watching this video, asked me when it looked like this, hey, do you see anything in Walmart? And I just said no opinion, right? But it did. The interesting thing is it did top out at the whole number 138. And I just never really looked at it again. And look what happens when it breaks through 138. Got a nice move to 139.50. And I PM'd that person later and said, can I have another shot at giving you my opinion on Walmart? And that person did an LOL back to me. This was all private messages, and said they took it anyway. And so I guess I'm not a good student. They said something like that. And I said, actually, that makes you a great student because I gave you no opinion and you decided that 138 was a whole number inflection point on a stock, with earnings that's in play. And that person took it anyway and made some money. That to me is awesome. No opinion isn't me saying it's not going to work. No opinion is just me saying, you know what, this will have, in my mind, this had to make too big of a move to get there. And I just didn't really watch it. But it was really cool to find out that that particular student of our trading course took it anyway and made some money on it. So again, you know who you are, and I'm proud of you. I think that's really cool. Anyway, we're going to watch Walmart again tomorrow. Let me get rid of this for a second. If you go back and look at Walmart, it kind of has a pattern, right? You get the big sell-offs and then kind of the big rally, and they're usually several days on each, right? So you could argue, like here, when it put in this bounce, put in another day and another day and another day, back here, several green days in a row. So even though this made a big move today, because of it's kind of the way it trades, I don't mind putting it on long watch again tomorrow. All right, anyway, having said all that, FTK was halted most of the day waiting for I should say most of the morning. Well, let's see. This was, it was all afternoon. All day it was halted with news pending. Then it came out of the halt, something like $1 billion worth of a contract. Turns out so it opened and halted. And then when it came out of the halt, it opened up here. I heard the news squawk say something like, it was already a known contract, but I think they added to it. I don't know. Anyway, you slice it. This thing was 80 cents and then ripped to over a dollar, over a dollar. Well, hit $1.90 before coming all the way back down to $1.35. And after hours, it's trading at like $1.50 right now. So I definitely want to watch that one tomorrow. All right. BTU, great relative strength to the market. Had a nice move. Couple red days. Looked like it was rolling over, and it's right back up near recent highs. SPCE has almost round tripped after this pop. which makes me like it less, but I am going to put it on Bounce Watch. AFRM has been on Bounce Watch. I don't know how many days in a row. I'm just going to keep in mind, like 5-6 days ago, this thing was $83 and now it's 37 something. So it's overdue for a bounce. I'm not bullish on the chart. I'm bullish on the idea that it might give me a snapback bounce one of these days. And I'll take it if I get an A+ bounce play setup on an intraday basis. All right. DASH, excuse me, gapped up today on earnings, but sold off. I'm going to put it on Bounce Watch. Like maybe the sell-off was overdone, especially if the market were bullish or something tomorrow. This would be a good potential turn back up, but I'm not in love with that because you got some bag holders from today, right? And from after hours yesterday. Shop, which is Shopify, has just been slapped silly. 3 sessions ago, this topped out at almost $900. Today closed at $660. I'd like to see another sell-off, and I'd be looking for a possible rebound under 600. I'll use the weekly to show you why. Back here, and you're going all the way back to early 2020, but it topped out around 600 and then broke through it. So, you know, a flush of 600 could be retesting old resistance as maybe new support. When you go back that far, though, it doesn't mean that much. Either way, this is overdue for a snapback bounce. And then lastly, Crocs, which had kind of a meltdown today. But again, if you go to the weekly, Crocs spent a good amount of time around this $80 area, right? These are weekly candles, so a good amount of time in early 2021, and it's fallen pretty quickly from even 110 about a week ago. So maybe we flush 80 tomorrow and get some downside shape. If that happens, I'll be looking for a possible reversal setup underneath 80, but I want shape to do it. And man, I've babbled long enough. I'll see everybody in chat tomorrow.